All right, welcome back, guys. And this is session 1.4. We are moving to the ending part of this chapter 1 because the chapter has 6 sections, and this is section 1.4. So we have the basic economic pro problems. We talked about basic economic concepts. Now we are looking at the basic economic problems. Okay, so the first one is scarcity. That's the first of the first, scarcity. And what does scarcity mean? It means that you don't have as much, okay, as you desire. There's a limit to what you have compared to what you desire. Because if you have all your desire, then there's nothing called scarcity. Okay, are you getting my point? And scarcity is not talking of the desire, it's talking of the resources to get the desire. All right. So that's why scarcity is the problem of scarcity arises as a result of the fact that at any point in time, the productive resources available in any society are limited, whereas human wants are what? Are unlimited. Human wants are unlimited. That is just it. That is scarcity. Human wants are unlimited compared to what? Compared to the available resources, okay, that you have. And don't forget, when we say resources, we're not talking of just the aggregate alone. We're not talking of Nigeria as a whole. Even you yourself, your resources, are you getting my point? Is limited to your wants compared to your desire as a person. And that's what scarcity means. And that's the first thing. We understanding that, okay, our resources is not enough. That's the first problem that needs to be understood. I have 1,000 naira. I want something of 5,000 naira. Knowing fully well that I can't, all the things I want is 5,000 naira. I want 5 things, 1,000 naira each, and I have just 1,000 naira. So that means I can only get one thing because there's scarcity. The resources I have is scarce compared to all the wants that I want, all the things that I want. So that's the first problem. Now the second one is now before we go to the second one, there's something that we need to understand. Every society must resolve four fundamental economic questions. Four, very important. Okay, number one is what to produce, and on determine in some manner what goods and services and how much of each of to produce during any given period of time. It's as simple as that. Economic must determine what to produce, what are we producing, what am I to produce, okay? And that's why you are thinking of running this so that you can increase your income, not because that income can solve the problem of now. What you are earning is still what you are, managing and doing all of those things. It might be from getting it from your parents or any means legal. Let me put it that way. But what you're getting now is still what you are using to solve now problem. Okay. But you are thinking of what to produce. How am I to increase my earning later on? Okay. Now, that's just for personal, for individual, for government, for businesses. You have what to produce. What are we to produce in this place? In Lagos, there's a kind of thing that you can produce. In Kano, another thing that you can produce. In different part of the world, there are things that you can produce, not because just choose to produce those things, but you look at what is available, resources available, what are the people, what do they want, so that it will be what will propel you to produce what you think is going to satisfy. That's very important. Satisfy human wants. Very important, very, very important. Satisfy human wants. So what to produce is the first one. How to produce is the second one. How to produce is the second one. So you have to decide. Are you to now I understand that we have to produce umbrella because it is rainy season now. How do we produce? Should we import from China? Should we buy machineries and start importing here? All of those questions are questions you need to ask in terms of how to produce. How should this goods that will satisfy human wants be produced? How should we produce it? Now we understand the goods in terms of what to produce. How do we produce this thing? Is what then you need to decide on. And the reason why you are deciding this is because you know at every point in time you have scarce resources. Are you getting my point? So you have to use your scarce resources to get what? To maximize. Don't forget that's what rational behavior. Rationalize your scarce means, scarce resources. Okay. So as to get the highest goods and services possible to give. Are you getting my point? That's what how to produce. Now, for whom to produce, these are questions that this is the third question that is being asked. Why are we producing this for? What are the categories of consumers? Okay. That is for which categories of consumers are the goods being produced? Is it for the young, the old, or for both categories? These are questions that I even think every firm, every aspiring entrepreneur must answer before they start spending money. Okay, before they start spending money. Because before you start spending money, you need to know, okay, this is what I want to produce. Why do you want to produce this? How do you want to produce it? For what are you producing? And how do you facilitate future growth? So that when you've answered those questions, then you can now say, okay, this is how we are going to spend our money. And the money will be effectively utilized. Okay, effectively and efficiently utilized. For whom to produce. And lastly, how to facilitate what? How to facilitate future growth. So that's the questions under scarcity. Scarcity makes us to ask these 4 questions at every point in time. All right. So the next one is choice. Okay. Number 2 is choice. Choice becomes necessary as a result of what? Of scarcity. Because when there's scarcity, you have 1,000 naira. You have 5 things that you want to buy for 1,000 naira each. Then you have to choose. What do you think? Should we cut the 1,000 naira into 5? No, that's not possible. Okay. No, it's not possible. So you have to choose. So choice is necessary as a result of scarcity. It means you have to give up something in order to get something else. So in order to get this first one, that means I'm giving up these other ones. Okay. In order to get this one, that means I'm giving up this one and this other one. And just like that, that's what the concept is related to all the 3 main economic agents. And it's here, you can read it in your material. So, but this is what choice means: giving up something in order to get something else. That's what scarcity choice means. Now we have scale of preference. Scale of preference is the third one, and scale of preference is referring to arranging what? Having a list of all your wants in order of priority, okay, or importance. Order of priority or importance. So me writing 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Listing it like this may arranging them in order of priority. Let's say instead of same figure, let's say we have bag, we have shoe, we have food, we have airtime. So if scale of preference is telling us that we arrange this in order of priority. So let's say I'm stranded and I need to make a call. So the first thing that is important is airtime to me. Then followed by, let's say, food because I'm hungry. Then shoe because I can't walk barefooted, and lastly bag. This is for me. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that's why scale of preference is not, there is no template for a scale of preference. It depends on what is more important to you at that particular time. Okay, what is more important to you at that particular time? So we are arranging those your wants list in order of priority is what we call scale of preference. So let's move on. We have opportunity costs. What is opportunity cost? That's number 4. Opportunity cost is referring to the next best alternative for gone. Very important. Next best alternative for gone in the process of making a choice. Okay. So if I choose bag, that means the next one. Okay, let's I wrote airtime, I wrote food, I wrote shoe, and I have bag. So if I spend my money on airtime, this opportunity cost is food. Okay. All this rest, opportunity cost. The rest is what we call opportunity cost. Okay, the rest is what we call opportunity cost. So, for example, a housewife desires a tin of rice and a tin of beans, each selling for 200 naira, because you have two things now. But since she had only 200 naira, she decided to buy a tin of rice. So the opportunity cost of a tin of rice bought is a tin of beans forgone. Are you getting my point? It's a tin of beans what? Forgone. Now, there are some things that we need to note. Another name for opportunity cost is economic cost. And you have real costs. Economic cost, you have real costs. It also explained to us in our material that there's difference between real costs and accounting cost. And the difference is simple. Accounting believe that when you say cost, accounting cost is also known as money cost. Okay, the actual amount that is being paid to what? To get the goods. Okay, so if you want to buy a shoe now and you go to the store and you buy a shoe, accountants believe the cost is what you actually pay to get the shoe. But economists look at it looks beyond the money cost and also look into what other things do you have to forego. What is the opportunity cost or best alternative forgone that made you choose this, to determine if you had made a rational decision or not. Are you getting my point? If you have made a rational decision or not. But accountants don't look at that. They just, okay, you've bought this, fine, no problem. We record it. That's our cost. Although now we're having what we call cost accountants. They also look, they do the work of economics in terms of costing. It's not for this level. So let us just leave it at that point. Now, another important thing is that there's something we call implicit and explicit costs. Implicit and explicit costs. So implicit cost and explicit cost. So implicit is referring to implicit cost is referring to opportunity costs, all other costs, while explicit cost is referring to the money cost. Okay, that is the amount of money you spend to get the goods, the service. Okay, so that's what opportunity cost is all about. Now we are moving on to production possibility curve, which is the last one. So what is production possibility curve? A production possibility curve, PPC, shows the various combinations of two goods. First, number one, various combinations of two goods. This number one. That can be produced in a country when all other available resources are fully and efficiently utilized. Two, when all available resources are fully and efficiently utilized. Various combination of two goods when that can be produced in a country when all available resources are fully and efficiently utilized. So now in economics, we have something we call schedule and curve. So schedule is like a table. Most of the time, when they say schedule is table. Schedule is table. While curve is like graph. Okay, so take note of that. This is an example of a table, which is schedule, production schedule. So we have the production combination A, rice, bag. This is what is being produced, the opportunity cost of an additional bag of rice. And how do we get this opportunity cost of additional bag of rice? We have 76 minus 80. That's how we got minus 4. We have 70 minus 76. That's how you get minus 6. You have 60 minus 10, 70. That's how you get this. And that's how you get what's the opportunity cost of an additional bag of rice. Now, let's move on to this is now a curve. This is a curve, which means it's a graphical representation of the table. So look at this now. You have 0 to 100, you have 1 to 5, okay? Because here we have 0 to 80, so after 80 we have 100, okay? So then we have 0 to 5, so that's why we have 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 for butter, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for rice. This graph is not rightly plotted, you know, it's a digital one, so some figures are not right. Some placement figures are right, but placements are not right. So let's look at it together. We have combination A, 0 at 80. So 0 at 80 is correct. This is correct. This is A, combination A. These are combination A. So for combination B, we have 1, 76. Combination B, 1 is at 76. So 1 should be somewhere here, because this is 1. Don't mind my own too. I don't have a ruler, but I think it should be somewhere around here. So this ought to be our next, this should be our B. So we have C, combination C, 2 at 70. So 2 at 70, this is 2. '70 is above 60. So we have it here. So this is our C. Then we have 3, combination D. That's 3 bags of rice to 60 butter, tins of butter. 60 tins of butter. So it's at 60. Thank God we have 60. And this is 3, right? Correct. So this is 3. So this is a C. And number 4, we have number 4, we have 20, 40 to 20. 20. All right, so there was a mistake here. It has been corrected here. There was a mistake here. I wrote C twice, so I've corrected it. Okay. Now the next one is this one that we have. Um, that's fourth number. That's E. So 440. That's E. Just as we can see in our on the table. And the last one is F540. Okay, so we are coming down here. This is 5, this is 0. So this is where it is. So should I draw a line? If I draw a line for 0, then that means I should draw a line for for 0 to 80 as well. So this is how to get your to get the curve, which is a graphical representation of of the table. So this is, I think, is still better than before, is the right curve. So this is F. Okay, so this is the curve. Now that we have the curve is not just, I told you that accounting and economics, we see figures, we plot, do a lot of calculations to get a storyline, okay, to task our mental skill to understand some things, to explain some phenomena. And what this is telling us, that still there are 6 things that this curve is telling us. Okay, number 1 is scarcity. That's the first one, is scarcity. And what does this scarcity mean? It means that the boundary formed by the curve, this curve itself from A to F, indicates that the production cannot go beyond that line. Okay, it is telling us that there's a limit to the amount of both rice and butter, limit to the amount of the combination, okay, that the country can produce at any point in time. There's a limit, right? There is a limit to what the country can produce at a time, okay, at any point in time. There's a limit to it. All right, you can't just see five bags of rice and 60 bags of water at the same time with the same resources. It's not possible, because that's outside of what the resources that being efficiently and effectively utilized can produce at any point in time. So that is scarcity. We need to understand that there's scarcity. Okay, now we have full employment. That's number 2, full employment. And what does full employment mean? Full employment is telling us that every point in the curve, okay, at any point in the curve, it shows that the combination has exhausted all the resources that the country can use to produce those 2 combinations. Okay, full employment. All right, now we have what we call underemployment. That's the next one. That's the 3rd one, underemployment. And what does underemployment means? Underemployment is talking about any point inside, just like this G, any point inside. Let's say they produce 1 bag of rice and 20 butter. Now this is underemployment. This is underemployment or unemployment. There are 2 different things. Okay, so let me quickly explain them. Unemployment means that it is not used at all. It is not used at all. That's unemployed. It's just left idle, completely idle, left completely idle. That's unemployed. But if it is underemployed, that is, it's not being used at all, that's what it is not effectively and efficiently utilized. It's called underemployment. Effectively and efficiently utilized is underemployment. Like this one I drew now, this is and underemployment, because it's not as if they didn't produce anything, but the capacity of what the resources can produce is not utilized. So that's underutilized. Okay, so that's underemployment. But let's say with all their resources, they produce nothing. Here, this is what? This is unemployment. Do you understand it now? All right. So now, or let's say they just put this one here, one, they produce this one, 1 to 0, that's still what? Unemployed. Now we have unattainable output. Unattainable output. And what does unattainable output means? Unattainable means outside the box, outside this curve is unattainable output. Outside this curve is unattainable output, just like we have it in this place. You know, I told you that scarcity means we can't produce more than this. So when they are asking you to produce more than what you can produce, that's unattainable. Example, with the same resources, you're asking me to produce 5 bags of rice with 80 bags, with 60 tins of water. This is totally unattainable. I can't use these resources to produce this. Do you understand what unattainable point means? Okay, at output level. So opportunity cost is like it shows the marginal rate of transformation, MRT. That's another point that you should know of, although you don't really need the information here, but there's opportunity cost, and opportunity cost shows that measures the opportunity cost of a unit or more less of a commodity. Are you getting my point? It measures the opportunity cost of a unit more or less of a commodity. So the higher the rise, what is the difference? Okay, and the formula is R2 minus R1. No, B2, you have B2 because butter is first. So you have B2 minus B1, R2 minus R1 less than 0. So this is the formula. And what does this say here? You know, on this table, I was saying you have this minus this. So it's telling us that B2 minus B1. So what is B2? This is, let's want to pick C and B now. B and C now. So the second one is the B2. So we have 70 as B2 minus 76 as B1. So this is B1, this is B2, divided by B2. What is B2? 2. This is R2 minus R1, which is 2 minus 1 less than 0. So you have minus 6 over 1. So which will give you what? Minus 6 divided by 1, which will give you minus 6, which is still the same thing, which is still less than 0. Do you understand? So that's how we got our minus 6. So this is just a formula of how to get the calculation. Okay, so that's your opportunity cost. All right, so that's the opportunity cost. Now we have the last one, which is economic growth. Economic growth. Economic growth means that the resources advance when there's an outward shift of this curve. Then there's what we call economic growth. So for example, let's say this is the curve and there's an outward shift of the curve. This curve now moves to this place. You know, it means there's economic growth. So outward shift of the curve is what we call what? What we call economic growth. Where is it? Okay, so it can be defined as a sustained increase in the production capacity, very important, of an economy, which leads to a greater output of goods and services. So just like I told you, this is let's see what we produce. This is our curve. This is our curve for first one. Outward shift. Now we now have something like this. You see there's an outward shift. So this is what we call what? Economic growth. And that's That's all for our basic economic problems. See you in the next video.